Imagine London, 1909, King Edward VII sits on the throne. The city is a bustling, foggy metropolis, a melting pot of cultures and ideologies. Among its millions are political exiles from across Europe, many fleeing persecution in Tsarist Russia. It's in this charged atmosphere that our story begins, a story of a desperate crime that would grip the nation, the Tottenham Outrage. On the morning of Saturday, January 23, 1909, to such exiles, Paul Helfeld and Jacob Lepidus, both in their early 20s, put a violent plan into action. They were Latvian revolutionaries committed to their cause and desperate for funds. Their target was the Schnurman rubber factory on Chestnut Road in Tottenham. As the factory's chauffeur, Joseph Wilson collected the weekly wages a bag containing £80 Helfeld and Lepidus pounced. Armed with powerful semi-automatic pistols, they snatched the bag and fled into the London streets. But they didn't get far before the alarm was raised. A factory employee, George Smith, gave chase, soon joined by Police Constable William Tyler. The sound of a police whistle pierced the air, and suddenly the streets of North London erupted into chaos. As PC Tyler closed in on the robbers near Tottenham Gasworks, Lepidus turned and fired. The officer fell, mortally wounded. He would become the first of 2 innocent lives lost that day. The robbers continued their frantic escape, firing indiscriminately at the growing crowd of police and civilians who had joined the pursuit. The chase was unlike anything London had ever seen. It was a 6-mile running gun battle through the suburbs. The robbers hijacked a tram, forcing passengers to cower on the floor as they fired at their pursuers. When the tram was blocked, they commandeered a milk cart, then a horse-drawn baker's van. The police, initially armed only with truncheons, were hopelessly outgunned. Officers had to borrow firearms from local residents and pubs just to stand a chance. The public's response was incredible. Ordinary citizens on bicycles, in cars, and on foot joined the hunt, determined to stop the gunmen. Tragedy struck again as the chase raged on. A stray bullet from one of the robbers' guns hit 10-year-old Ralph Josseline, who was simply watching the chaos unfold from the street. He died instantly. The public's shock turned to fury. The pursuit intensified, becoming a relentless citywide manhunt. The chase finally led the 2 men to a small cottage near a stream called Ching Brook. By now they were surrounded, with police and an armed mob closing in. Helfeld, wounded and cornered in the cottage, saw no escape. He turned his gun on himself. Lepidus made one last desperate attempt to flee, jumping into the stream, but he too was cornered. Wounded and exhausted, he was taken to a nearby pub, where he was held under guard. But before he could be formally arrested and brought to justice, he too died from his injuries, likely a self-inflicted wound to the head. The Tottenham Outrage was over. The aftermath was profound. The funeral processions for PC Tyler and young Ralph Josseline brought London to a standstill, with hundreds of thousands lining the streets to pay their respects. The event sparked a fierce national debate about immigration, anarchism and gun control. For the police, it was a brutal wake-up call. The fact that they were so outmatched by the robbers. Modern firearms led directly to the authorization for the Metropolitan Police to be issued with their own semi-automatic pistols, forever changing the face of British policing. The Tottenham Outrage remains a dramatic and tragic chapter in London's history, a day when a desperate crime turned the quiet suburbs into a terrifying battlefield.